We got Black Ram 313 in the house.
Black Ram.
We got Atagon Forest.
Right here. Okay.
And last but not least, my man, Sir Crucible.
Yeah, the last Crucible, I am here.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed. I thought we'd start off today, gentlemen, by talking about physical features, what you find to be attractive in a female these days. You want to start off, Black Ram?
Man, the features that I'm kind of a mixture, man. I like dark-skinned women. I like light-skinned women. I like medium-complected women. You know, I like women so much, man. I would probably fuck a Smurf, man, if she looking right. So, you know, if that motherfucker purple and he got a nice body, I still might go. You know what I mean? So, you know, I'm kind of flexible, man. Matter of fact, the only thing I think is ugly is bigness on a woman. That's just one thing I don't like. But I'm pretty flexible with it, man. I kind of like to, you know, I always imagine having a rainbow coalition of those, man. Just every race, background, and nationality is my concubine, man. I can appreciate a hairy Arab woman. I can appreciate the long, silky hair of an Indian woman. I can appreciate the fiery look of a Latina woman, man. I like them all, man. In fact, I don't think there's not one female that walked the planet that I don't find attractive in some way. So I'm kind of like Lil Wayne. I wish I could fuck every girl in the world for the most part that listens. So I'm almost the wrong person to ask. I'm kind of liberal with my shit. I'm an equal opportunity fucker, man. I hit it all. So, you know, I even didn't want to speak on such a subject. I don't really discriminate.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
Well,
Sir Crucible.
It's yeah.
You want to chime in?
It's good we starting on a light note. I guess because I do want to take this into a more serious or strange, even dark direction. But mine, in a nutshell, man, my ideal woman has the temperament of the modest, the humble Asian woman. She is, quote unquote, sexually free like the white woman. And physically, she has the body of a black woman. Not the Sarah Bartman black woman, though. Not like that. But
that sounds like perfection. So let me get this straight, Crucible. This Black Ram. Let me get it straight. So the humble and submissive of an Asian woman, you know, and of course, Asian women are built like 7-year-old boys, so of course we will want her body. So you take that submission of the Asian woman, and you would take that freakiness of a white woman. Everybody knows that white woman, man, she would do it all in the bedroom. And then that body that can't be beat, that brick house of a black woman. Yeah, that's pretty much perfection like that.
Cool. All right. Well, what about you, Atagon Forest? I mean, what type of females are you attracted to?
Word. Yeah, sure. Well, as far as what I prefer in a woman's appearance, believe it or not, I prefer like a heavier woman. I don't need her to be fat now. She can't be round, but she got to be thick. I don't know why, man, but everything feels better when she's thick, you know. But even more important than her looks is her temperament. Like Crucible said, I can't tolerate a disrespectful woman, and I don't want a prideful woman. You know, she has to be real humble, really meek, and I can get down with that. But if she's not humble or meek, she can look like the best. What Kim Kardashian in her prime. She can look like that, and I still wouldn't be able to get turned on. You know, right? So I think attitude is more important than appearance, but I prefer a curvier woman.
Go ahead, Sir Crucible. I know you want to chime in on this, man.
You know, that's funny how they go, because I remember you did a video way back. I don't know if you remember, I commented on it. And I said that I cannot get or sustain an erection with a aggressive woman, you know, a mouthy woman. I need a submissive woman, a modest woman. I said, I got a heat-seeking missile for a submissive woman. I mean, that's what my dick is the hardest for, a submissive woman. It's not the same when I'm dealing with a woman who has that aggressive or assertive energy. Being very submissive to me is just a hallmark of femininity, that vulnerability, that surrender.
This T40, as far as what type of woman I like, everybody already knows I love me a dark-skinned woman, but she got to be slim. You know, I like a slim woman, a woman I can pick up and walk around the house. You know, I think Sir Crucible just put the icing on the cake. A submissive woman truly does bring out the best in you, you know, because a lot of people don't understand opposites attract. If you're a dominant man, you know, only a submissive woman can bring out the best in you. A dominant woman compared with a dominant man, they're going to butt heads, man. You know, just like two men, they're going to repel each other. But, you know, a submissive woman, man, can't nothing beat that. I mean, she's going to be the main thing that turn you into, quote unquote, a real man as a submissive woman, because she's going to put all that responsibility on you to take charge. Now, Sir Crucible, you had a very interesting theory about black women that kind of fits into my previous video with Black Ram about black women being a little bit more aggressive than other races of women.
I talked about this before, but I haven't gotten a chance to talk about it in a recorded conversation. So we were talking about features, and it's been stated many times in the black manosphere that the black female and the white male are made for each other. And this has been said in reference to how the black female and the white male relate to the black man in terms of the hatred that they have for us. Okay, and, you know, the way they relate to us, that, you know, in such a way that it negatively impacts us. And we don't have to go into all the details. We know how white male hegemony negatively impacts black men, and we know how the black female impacts us in our relationships with them. Okay, but I want to talk about how these two are made for each other, but more in reference, I want to put more emphasis on the physical features. Let me start by saying, when we look at the black female, and you know, these are my opinions, keep that in mind. I do believe that coiled, what we call commonly nappy hair, is masculine. I do believe that the black woman as a female is lacking in that regard. Hair that hangs, you know, as far as on a female, that flows in the wind, that falls over her breast, very sexy, very, very feminine. Okay. We know that this doesn't happen with the black woman's hair unless it's locked, or braided, or in the very, very rare case that it's not locked or braided, but it is just very, very long, even as it is coiled and nappy, which I don't see that very much at all. So black women don't really have this flowing hair. And of course, this is, you know, notwithstanding what people say about white people having hair like dogs, smelling like dogs when they get wet, I suppose. But as far as the hair and the way it looks on a woman, I don't like the poofy, nappy hair on a female. Now, that is, you know, masculine. Now we look at the testosterone level of black women. Supposedly it's higher relative to other women. Didn't a social scientist, was it, who pointed that out recently?
Yeah, I believe now about that information out.
Now I'm assuming that this is an issue globally. I'm not so sure that this is limited to this highly racialized white supremacist context we live in where the diet is modified and whatnot. It very well could be the case. But when I look at black women globally, from what I've seen just in pictures, movies, whatever, I see a good number of black women who look like men. I even see a lot of times you see little black girls and I can't tell if it's a girl or a boy. And when I look at other races, I can generally tell, it's very clear who's a man and who's a woman. Now we also remarked in the black manosphere, with this whole transsexual phenomenon, we've said, that shit. Sometimes you can't tell a transsexual between your average black woman today. Again, many might attribute this to the context we live in, and that there has been some sort of genetic modification on account of the stress factors and the diet. Maybe. But then when I look at the women that I've seen through different mediums, whether it be books, television, whatever, when I look at women from, say, Africa and even other places, I do see a good deal of black women who are very unattractive in a masculine way. So I don't know if the testosterone is tied in with that, but it has been stated that black women have high testosterone. Now, as far as the features that they have, a lot of times black women have these obtrusive, these prominent, boorish features, like the men, in terms of having a broad nose, sometimes like a big round head. And this is as opposed to aquiline, more delicate, more subtle features. If you can imagine or look up the women, East African women, say Somalian, Eritrean, Ethiopian. Now, I find those women to be very attractive and feminine, and, their features are more, dainty and subtle, that aquiline nose, thin lips, the jaw structure and whatnot. I do see, again, though, a good deal of black women, whether it be in America or elsewhere. I think another example would probably be the Aborigines in Australia, but I do see a great deal of very, very dark-skinned women, what we call black women, with obtrusive features that I see as masculine. Now, another thing is the dark skin color itself. Now, many will disagree. First, let me say that dark skin on a woman does not make her ugly just because she has dark skin. All right? I've been with dark skinned women before. I've complimented women on their beautiful dark skin before. So it's not that I have an issue with it necessarily. And I think that when you have very dark skin as a female, you have a much narrower margin of error in terms of having features that are not comely. And so I think that dark-skinned black women have to almost be perfect in their features in order to be considered attractive. And again, I don't necessarily think that this has anything to do with a racialized white supremacist context. Not necessarily. Of course, you can give me an alternative perspective in the comment section, but I think that this is sort of general. Black women, when we talk about, I mentioned earlier, I don't want the Sarah Bartman type. One thing about black women, we talk about their body parts, the ass, the hips, and all of that kind of stuff. And, Sarah Bartman was an extreme example. We call it, steatophagia, that big ass she had where you could literally set a cup on it. We like to joke about that. Here in the States, we say your ass is so fat you can set a cup on it. I don't know, I say it's extreme, but I don't know how rare that was, especially when you consider the statues like the Venus of Willendorf dating back, 20, 30, 40,000 years in the caves of, Southern Europe. We have little statuettes that depicted this woman with this exaggerated buttocks and whatnot. Now, were there a lot of women walking around like that, or was this a fantasy of the men of that period? I don't know. But I do see a fair amount of black women these days with exaggerated body parts. And of course, we have an abundance of beautiful women, but we do have a lot of masculine women, and our women, I think, have a greater propensity toward that sort of appearance. Okay, so that's the black woman and her inclination toward masculinity, all right? Now, I think that this, in turn inclines her toward competition with her male counterpart, because she is like a hybrid, a faulty version of the man, and somewhere on a deep subconscious level, I think that the black woman is aware of this and is jealous of the black man. Such that when you look at this white supremacist context, you might ask yourself, is the black woman's traitorous, treasonous behavior a result of white supremacist programming, or has her true nature been unleashed under these stress factors, in the same way that feminism has not changed women in general, but has unleashed their true nature? Is the black woman deep in her subconscious, is she angry and hateful toward the black man because she is a much, much more imperfect version of him? She's not fully female, with her nappy hair and her high testosterone and her exaggerated physical features. Now, when you look at the white male, on the other hand, among men, he has very low testosterone. I don't know that it's the lowest. Some say that the East Asians have the lowest. I don't know. But the white man is reputed to have low testosterone. Okay? We know about the testosterone therapy. If you live in the States, you've seen commercials on this before. And we know that when we look at these pharmaceutical companies, we look at these doctors and whatnot, they don't establish their medical standards based on people with melanin. They don't give a shit about us. They use their people as a standard. So when we talk about fertility clinics and testosterone therapy and whatnot, we're talking about the ailments, the issues of white people. So you have this white male who has this low testosterone. It has been stated that the white male often looks very, very feminine. Okay? Now, I contend that, and he has these aquiline features that are highly attractive in females, these dainty, more subtle features, but in a male, generally speaking, this is not going to do much in the way of appearing threatening or formidable as compared to the black man with his, stronger jaws. I think they call it prognatism. We look at his broad nose, his big lips. He just has a more prominent feature set, if you will, as a male. We combine this with the long flowing hair that is attractive in a woman is very feminine in a male. We see white males with their stringy hair, and again, that does nothing for their masculinity or appearance of formidability. So we also look at their tiny penises. When we talk about sex and the length of the penis, we know that the semen, the sperm, has to travel through the cervix. And so, if you have a longer penis, then when you ejaculate, your dick is going to practically be right at the cervix. Whereas if you have a tiny penis, 2 to 3 inches long, that cum has to come out of the penis and travel up the vaginal walls. And so then we know we also have issues. We talk about white males and their issues with fertility, as well as white female. But we have these different features of the white male. Also, the white male likes to submit to his woman. And I think the most perverse form of this we see in this whole dominatrix thing. You see white males where they like to have the woman wear heels and step on their penis, their testicles, lock them up in cages, fuck them anally with dildos. This is a big thing with white males, as well as white males like to watch black men fuck their women. Now, I will contend that as part of the complex of feminine features that this white male has, one of his fantasies, and this has been said before, is to have a black man fuck him. So what we're dealing with is the black female who wants to be the black man and the white male who actually wants to be the white female. So in this way, this is another way that I think these two are made for each other. And I think that we talk about the white male and his perverse nature, we know that homosexuality and pedophilia were institutionalized norms. They were norms in particularly the Greek society, I believe Roman society as well, and we're seeing that being reproduced here in Babylon, in America today. So the feminine spirit has been on this white man since ancient times as well. Okay, and again, we have this masculine spirit in the black woman that is really showing itself here under this highly racialized context. But again, like I said, it may very well be that this has brought out what has already been in the black woman. So, with that said, I am wondering what this means for black men in terms of us. It seems almost that we don't have a counterpart like others. It's strange because when you look at Arabs, you look at Asians, you look at even whites at one period, they have the submission of their women. We have seen almost every other group, okay? We've seen their women show submission without condition. I don't know that I've seen it in black culture in ever, in history. And I'm wondering, given what I've kind of articulated here in terms of this black female psychology, I'm wondering what this means as far as, the further we go back. Did the black men ever really have a counterpart? Was there a time when we were just alone?
Yes, indeed, man. Maybe Black Ram 313 can expound on that a little bit. He's very well versed in the scriptures. Go ahead, Brother Ram.
Yeah, it seems as from the beginning, as Eve was tempted, so to speak, by the serpent to disobey the Most High and also to disobey her husband. So it appears that the black woman is naturally, in her natural state, very rebellious. And I always like to say that it's a mirroring effect. When you're dealing with a woman, or people in general, a lot of times to show your point, to prove your point to them that they have a behavior or an action which is undesirable, is to mirror their behavior, to show them themselves. So I believe one of the reasons why the black woman is so rebellious is that the Most High is a player. He has game. So what he does is he's mirroring. He's saying, hey, I'm going to show you yourself through your woman. I'm going to show you because you're a rebellious man against my laws and my statutes and my standards. I'm going to give you a rebellious woman, a woman after your own heart. So a woman who's going to rebel against you as you rebel against me. So that seems like that's the natural order. Wow. Now, I want to go touch on the hair thing for a minute. According to the scripture, a woman's hair is her glory. So this is how the scripture breaks it down. The glory of the Most High are men, particularly Israelite men, who they call African Americans today. So the glory of the Most High are men, Israelite men. Okay, the glory of a man is his woman. Okay, and then the glory of a woman is her hair. Now, that's her glory, right? So hair for a woman means everything. She cares about that more than anything. Before she get her shoes, before she get her clothes, she gets her hair done. Now, since that's her glory, and she's such a rebellious whore, the Most High cursed black women with a certain type of hair. And to prove that, because he talked about the woman's hair being coarse, and of course, black women have the natural tendency to have very short hair, and because of the chemical processing, and also because of the foods they eat. Okay? And they love this American culture. But here's a scripture real quick. Book of Isaiah, chapter 3, verse 24. And it reads, instead of sweet smell, there should be stink. Talking about the vagina, right? And instead of a belt, a rope. And instead of well-set hair, baldness. And instead of a rich robe, a skirt of branding instead of beauty. So, instead of having beauty and well-set hair, since a black woman is so rebellious, such a whore, she hates her image so much as a black woman, she wants to be a white girl, that now you're cursed with baldness and a lack of beauty. But this is according to the scriptures. Now, I didn't write that. Mm-hmm. So, just to connect with what you were saying, because this black female, she is unlike any other female on earth. She has her beauty, but her rebelliousness is one to marvel at. Because you don't see, the Arab woman is going to crash and burn with her Arab man. Mm-hmm. The Latina is going to crash and burn with her Latino males. Mm-hmm. But the black woman, you have to have money, you have to have fame, you have to have swag, you have to have power, mm-hmm, to win her affection. Mm-hmm. These are must-haves for her. But for these other races of men, even white men, all you have to do is be you. But our women, we have conditions.
Yes, indeed, Brother Ram. And let me say this before we get too far ahead. The concept of IBMOR is for every single solitary heterosexual black man on the face of this planet, be you Christian, Muslim, or Hebrew Israelite. Because you have to understand, black brotherhood supersedes all that stuff. All of it. If you are a heterosexual black man that value yourself as a man, the concept of IBMOR is right and valid for you.
Right. That scriptural foundation, that seems like that would be the missing piece, because it goes into the ancient aspect that I'm trying to get into, because I do believe, again, like I said, this is deeper than Caucasian hegemony. I'm wondering, how far back is this rooted? And so that scriptural reference is powerful. Mm-hmm. And I forgot to mention, too, in terms of masculine features, and Ram, you had mentioned that, the voice. A lot of times, I don't even, black women have that strong, they have that voice, man, that it doesn't have the femininity and sweetness that I hear in many other races of women. And in the work that I do, I talk to women all the time, and black women have a certain forcefulness, and just intensity to their tone that is off-putting.
Yeah. And I think part of that has to do with their spirit and their energy. Since she wants to be a man, she can't help but to project herself as one in her vocal tonation. Just like a homosexual male wants to sound like a woman in his tonation and how he vocalizes things, same thing with the black woman. She wants to be the boss. Now, how many years can you put in your mind that you're a strong, independent black woman, you're the boss, and literally, now listen, let's put ourselves, let's play devil advocate for a minute. The black woman places herself above men, and she actually is, in a sense that your average simp, lame, blue killer is submitted to her. Mm-hmm. So she's used to being in a role of authority, so she has to assert herself, and that becomes part of her spirit. Mm-hmm. Because for our community, she is the boss. And let's just be honest now. We know that IBMOR, she don't rule us, but the black woman is the boss. Every guy I know, and I'm sure you can attest to this, Adigoon and NC40, you look at relationships. I can't think of one man who's a fucking boss in his relationship. I can't think of not one other than you guys. But how many bosses do you see? It's always a man submitting to his woman. So she can't help but to project herself strongly, because somebody got to have her.
Adigon Forrest, you want to chime in and let us know what you think?
I want to touch on that for just a second. In America, in order to maintain any resemblance of a long-term relationship with a black woman, you as a black man have to be a homosexual, or you have to be extremely feminine, or you have to be bitch-made. You can't be a man and still be in a relationship with an American black woman. That's right. And I'm generalizing, of course, but the vast majority of black women expect you to be submissive towards them. So it's almost impossible to ask an IBMOR-minded individual to take an American black woman seriously. She's below you, to be honest. And dating her is like dating another man. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, the black woman's attitude, it completely turns most straight men off. Yeah, we'll
Absolutely.
watch you shake your asses in a video. We like to see you jiggle it and do all that crazy stuff, but to actually fuck you, a lot of men, masculine men, can't bring themselves to actually fuck black women. It's really hard to do. Because
That element of surrender is not there. They're missing that element of surrender, and you can feel that intuitively. If you are truly masculine and centered in your masculinity, you can detect that that element of surrender is not there.
This is T40. I'm gonna put in my 2 cents.
Yeah, sure. You got it.
I'm a man that is attracted to dark-skinned black women, but I guess I am an extreme exception to the rule, because every dark-skinned black woman that I've ever dated, I broke her ass down to the point where she refers to me as yes sir, no sir. Now, if she don't want to do that, she can basically get the hell out of my face. And I've always had relationships like that. I've always been the dominant one in the relationship ever since I was, 4 or 5 years old. You know, I mean, I've always been extremely attracted to a submissive woman. Now, the dark-skinned female, everything I agree with. Black women are more masculine. They are more kind of, they want to be in charge. But here's the thing. There's a certain number of African-American females out there that's sick and tired of being in charge. They represent a very small group, but they're out there. But they actually are sick and tired of being in charge. I'll use this as an example. You look at the black female as being super masculine, but look at her in that office building, man. She is as soft and feminine as you would ever see when she's dealing with a white man. I think with her mind, just like any other female's mind, it's about if that man is in a position of power. Now, you mentioned this earlier, you got to, quote unquote, bring something to the table in order for a black woman to submit. That's true most of the time, but you do have a certain segment of black women who are extremely submissive, submissive to the point where it's almost like a fetish that she has for a man to dominate her. And I've experienced it. Now, I've experienced it several times. Hell, I even got it on videotape. But that's besides the point.
Yeah.
That's besides the point. There are black women out there. It's almost like a subculture within black women. And this is something that the mostly Caucasian media is not going to put out there. Okay, because they don't want black women looking feminine and submissive. They want black women to be rebellious against black men. That's what keeps the tension going. That's what keeps our first enemy tearing us down, which is the African-American woman. But there is a subculture of black women who are, quote unquote, in the closet, who love being submissive to a black man. Not just in the bedroom, but out of the bedroom as well.
Let me piggyback, but let me add to what you were saying, T40. No doubt that there are a segment, however small, of black women who are willing to be submissive. My problem with that is that a woman like that is probably, 35, 40, maybe 1, 2 kids. It's pretty much a done deal. No man in his right mind is checking for a 35, 40-year-old female who has the history as long as a career criminal's rap sheet in sexual activity. So although there may be a certain segment, for a king, man, we looking for women young and youthful. The 35, 40-year-old woman who's learned her lessons, who's got weight on her, it's too late, man. I mean, who really wants that? By the time a woman figures this shit out, she's past the age of bearing children. And she's past her prime.
A lot of African-American men have the impression that a chick that's around, 18 to, I would say, 24, and she's a true dime, because you got chicks that think they're dimes, and then you got true dimes. When I say a true dime, I'm talking about a female where if a she attracts millionaires, basically. What you have here, we don't have true dimes in this society. We got a lot of 7s and 6s and 8s that think they're dimes, so they walking around arrogant with a chip on their shoulder. And the reason why they walking around arrogant with a chip on their shoulder with a nasty attitude is because they are attracting regular, average, everyday guys. And in their mind, they're thinking, I'm supposed to be attracting millionaires. I'm supposed to be attracting sports athletes. Well, I said that to say this. When you run into a chick that's between 18 and 21, that's a true dime, that's fine as hell. Let's be real when it comes to the trials and tribulations a woman goes through. When she's ugly as hell, the world gives her hell. But when she's a true dime, the world treats her really, really good, so she don't have all these bad experiences and a chip on her shoulder. A true dime is the nicest, sweetest female you ever want to run into, but it's not too many of them out there. So most men have never seen them. You know, most men have never had a true dime. A chick where on the outside she's so beautiful it don't make no sense, and on the inside she's as peaceful as still waters. She's out there, but she's rare, extremely rare. You know,
what is she? Do you think 40 that since she's so damn rare, is she worth talking about?
Well, I'm gonna tell you.
I think you're right.
I've had 3 of them in my lifetime. I've had 3 of them in my lifetime. True dime.
Now listen to that. Fuck, man, that's fucked up.
Yeah,
3.
3.
We're supposed to be seeing this shit on a regular basis, and this is exactly why we having this hangout, this conversation right now, because fucking T40 has only met 3 of these motherfuckers in his life. Do you know how fucked up? I've only met 1. Literally, I can actually say 1, like you just described that. 1 in my fucking life, man. Every other black.
No, I've met a couple, but these were always victims of physical abuse in their relationships. They had to get the bitch beaten out of them.
But,
so when you're forceful with these women, they tend to kind of expose themselves as women once you put them in their place.
Well,
but they've always been victims.
I'm not talking about the woman that has a ton of baggage and she say, okay, it's time for me to start acting right. I'm not talking about that woman that's been through something. I'm talking about that woman where throughout her life, when she go to the grocery store, the man behind her say, I got that, because she's so fine it don't make no sense. It happens to her on the regular. The world literally don't give these women any shit. No shit. So they don't have any baggage whatsoever. They don't have any bad thoughts in their minds whatsoever because they don't have those bad experiences. So she's extremely beautiful and she's real nice, real quiet. I'm gonna give y'all a perfect example of a chick that was a true dime that most people are familiar with, and that's Peanut, Tariq Nasheed's wife. She was a true dime when he met her. Now she didn't push it. I don't know how many kids right now, but she was a true dime when he met her. She didn't have any kids. Drop dead gorgeous, beautiful, no attitude. Now let me put a disclaimer there. She's not dark skinned. She's actually part Caucasian. For those of y'all who don't know, but she was a true dime when Tariq met her. She didn't have any bad experiences or chips on her shoulders. You know, she didn't have none of that. She was just nice and sweet on the inside because everybody in her life had treated her nice and sweet. She don't have all these trials and tribulations to fuck her up. Trials and tribulations are going to do 2 things to a woman. It's going to turn her personality really, really nasty, or it's going to turn her personality really, really sweet.
I've never encountered a true dime. A young woman, youthful, beautiful, without the chip on her shoulder. Maybe it's a regional thing. Me living in Chicago, but I can't even think of ever seeing one. Literally, I've never seen a woman who was extremely beautiful and also sweet. Never in my life.
Yeah, I've seen it 3 times, man. I've had it 3 times.
I think we're all similar in sort of within, as far as each other's ages. I think we're all within range. I think Adi Goon might be a few years younger. But in any case, when we came up, like when I came up in high school, okay, the shift to, because the gangster rap and shit started in the 90s, late 80s, 90s. By the time we go to high school in the mid 90s, these bitches was already, even them little fine, untouched, if you will, black women, these bitches was already going after just the thugs and the ball players. Cause in my lifetime, like now, I'll still see Asian women, fine ass Asian women, with very average, regular looking Asian dudes. I see fine ass white broads with very average looking white dudes. Same thing in the Mexican community. Yo, it's crazy how many hobbit looking fucking Mexican dudes I see with fine ass Mexican bitches. Okay? I see this with other groups all the time. But when it comes to the black community, these young, fine-ass black women are with some old dirty, big, dusty-ass hip-hop wannabe motherfucking dude, you know, or a ball player or somebody with some sort of extraordinary status, man. But for a regular, you know, blue-collar brother or, you know, whatever, you can fucking forget it, man.
But I grew up before us enjoyed it. I grew up in Chicago on the west side in the 90s, and if a woman is above a 6, it's above a 6, she absolutely, positively would not give you any pussy unless you are a drug dealer with rims on your car. And these women will make a pact among themselves saying they will not fuck a guy unless he has a car with rims on it. Literally, I'm not exaggerating. I don't know anybody who would fuck a woman in my era over a 6 unless exclusively he was a drug dealer. I don't care if you couldn't have a job, you couldn't just have parents with money. You had to be selling drugs to get some pussy. Literally, yeah. This is a lot of people exaggerate, but listen, I promise you, this is no exaggeration. I believe it. In order to get some pussy, you got to sell drugs. Believe it.
I'm gonna tell y'all about a loophole y'all not thinking about.
Okay.
Right now, and I'm in Houston, by the way. This is T40 talking. How I came out with the name 40s because I'm in my 40s. Okay.
I'm real close.
Right now, there's a loophole that a lot of brothers are not thinking about. I'm talking to black men that are in their 40s, 35 on up. Right now, there's a young, super fine-ass black chick living with her mama, and she's about 18, 19 years old. And her and her mama cannot get along. She's sick of the little knuckle picklehead boys at her school. She's sick of all the boys about around her age, and she want an older man so bad it's driving her fucking crazy. I've had more than a few 19, 20-year-old females push up on me. One of them pushed up on me too fast, and I was like, well, hold up, this bitch probably got something because she just want to fuck too, she want to fuck too goddamn fast.
Yeah.
But that's the loophole that a lot of brothers don't think about. They don't think about the young chick with not too many life experiences because she with her own mean, jealous ass 50-year-old, 40-year-old mama that's bitter as hell at the world, and she made sure that fine ass Lisa or Christina, her daughter, don't get out the house, don't do nothing. But she fine as hell. And her daughter is sick and tired of her shit, and she's looking for a quote-unquote sanctuary, and she'll move in with an older man at the speed of light or become an older man's girlfriend at the speed of light just to get away from the bullshit that her mama giving her and the bullshit that maybe them little knucklehead thuggish boys is giving her. So
I need to well my ass to Houston, man. I need to come down. I need to come back down. I need to come down to Houston, man. That must be some southern shit
man,
like
look,
that.
I tell brothers all the time about the South, man. See, the South, really, all a dude got to have in the South, you ain't got to be rich. Get yourself a little Toyota Camry and a job at Burger King, and you got all the pussy you can handle. Okay?
Man, that shit ain't gonna fly in Chicago, man. That shit ain't gonna fly in Chi-Town, man. They ain't going to that.
See, this is the reason why it's like this in the South. Number one, the majority of African-American men are doing terrible in the South. Okay? Most black men in the South are either missing a job, a car, or a place of their own. That's most. If you got all three of those basic things, you might as well be a goddamn basketball player that just signed a $40 million contract.
Wow, right.
You're going to clean up on women down here.
But see, 40, I'm imagining if that's the case, man, you got to be talking about where it's dirt roads and shit like that, man. Because anywhere where we talking about civilization and city and shit, man, all these bitches are the same across America, man. And the thing is, I'm not saying that...
Visit Houston, brother. That's all I'm trying to tell you. These women are not looking for a dude that's like a serious baller down here, man. They just looking for a dude that's got a damn car and a job.
Can I point something out?
Go ahead, Eddie.
When I think, for the most part, if the mother's a black American woman, the chick you try to fuck with is pretty much garbage. Now, and I'm only being honest about it. For the most part, if she has a black mother and the mother is a single black mother, that's it. Now, I've noticed the black women or the mixed women with white mothers. Even if you have a full black female who's raised by a white woman for some reason, they tend to have far better attitudes and they're far more accepting. But the ones with black mothers, it's distilled in them to be a bitch.
And I'm talking about the situation where the daughter and the mother, they don't get along. They're not best friends. Okay, the mother is constantly on her daughter's ass, and her daughter is sick of it. She don't want to be nothing like her mama. You know.
Before you, are you? I guess we can say you're dealing with exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, but I've always been the type of dude to look for the loophole. I take a look at what the hell is going on out there. I think about what the hell I'm looking for, and then I find the loophole. I find the exception to the rule. You know.
That's actually a very good, intelligent thing, especially in light of your last video. You did a video, an encouraging video to brothers who maybe, considering suicide or just be down. And what you're talking about basically is almost like looking at the glass half empty versus looking at it half full. I think that's actually a good principle in terms of the way you're looking at it. That can be applied to any area of life, not just dating. Still, though, I would say that, if we're going to talk to brothers and sort of keep it grounded in terms of what they're likely to come up against and deal with, the chances of them meeting some little cutie pie that may have had one sex partner or none and was living with her mother and just wants to jump on some grown man dick. Like, I don't know how, when you talk about scarcity and timing, you put those two factors together, it's not likely. And if this was really something that was prevalent, of course we wouldn't have so many brothers on YouTube and just in society in general talking about how they can't find a decent black woman.
Yeah, it's about, what is that saying in the Bible? Maybe you could help me out, Black Ram. It says, wide is the road to destruction, narrow is the road to salvation or something like that. But
yeah, exactly.
You got to find the narrow road. You can't look in general. Now, like I said before, I'm in Texas, and you talked about dirt roads. We got a whole lot of little small, no-name towns in Texas where it's super fine-ass dimes in their 20s just wanting to get the hell out of that little small town. They sick of it. But they stranded in Poconos, Texas somewhere. All you got to do is hop down in your car, go down to that little small town and get her and save her from her boring-ass misery. That's all over Texas.
Hey, can I point out what Lance Crucible said a lot of interesting things earlier about the black woman's appearance, her energy, how she behaves, and what she wants to be. And I think it's real interesting that we have women who are designed that way. And it might be a blessing in disguise. Because if you look at a lot of African tribes, they'll kill their women if they misbehave. And they won't think twice about it. They'll cut out their clitoris and all kinds of crazy shit. Because it's real easy to look at this bitch and think, that's just a bitch. She has no divine beauty. She doesn't have this long flowing hair. She's not pale-skinned or interesting in any way. She's just a man-faced bitch that's misbehaving right now, and I gotta put her in her place. So her looking like that, it forces us to see her as she is. She's someone that we have to dominate. No matter how we look at it, we have to be in control of her.
Yeah.
Oh, I see what you're saying. That sort of almost gives us a little hint, a little cue to recognize what we're dealing with, sort of an outer manifestation of the spirit. And Ram alluded to that with the scripture, and when he went into, was it Isaiah? When you went into, so that could definitely all be tied together. And that's I never really gave the, what do you call it when they remove the click? Something hecked me. I don't remember what it's called, but I never really gave it much thought. But when you think about how sneaky and slutty women are, we think about the mama's baby, papa's maybe, and all that kind of shit. These societies have different ways of lessening the likelihood of, infidelity or pregnancy by, your woman getting pregnant by another man and whatnot. So, I don't know.
I think it's most discouraging, the fact that we have to talk about black women in such a light, in the sense that you have to find this rare exception
You have to hustle up in this area and that area. You have to find a way to manipulate the system, or to find a way to manipulate the situation. You have to search high, you have to search low, and finagle here and finagle there. Just for some ass, man. What you have a biological imperative for, biological imperative to reproduce, that you can't do that with your own woman, man. That you have to do so much. And I don't advocate pimping, and a lot of people get me misconstrued. I don't believe in vice like that. But it's the attitude of the pimp toward the female, in the sense that this is a response to white supremacy and feminism. This is a response on how to finesse your way into a woman's life to benefit you without being strong-handed, without the mutilization of the clitoris and the having to beat a bitch. Straight game. Straight game. But it's so much work. And at the end of the day, guess what? You're still dealing with broken pieces, man. If you look high, listen, let me tell you something for you, and I'm not trying to discredit what you're saying. When you get a female, even if she's 16, 17, 18 years old, and by the time she's 18 years old, right, even if you are the first person that has sex with her, right, so at 18, you can legally have sex with this woman, right? By the time she's 18, she's so brainwashed with feminism and her arrogance and her pride, you're not getting anything. She might as well fuck 15, 20 men. Exactly, because what you're getting is a woman whose mind is full of poison, man. Full of poison. It's just like her pussy being full or having been used a bunch of times by different men. So I mean, she might be a virgin, but mentally, psycho-spiritually, this bitch is a corrupt whore. Exactly. And you have to go through so much to try to break that out of her. You have to use a lot of time, a lot of patience, a lot of energy. And guess what? Some women are not moldable. I believe that a woman is built in this day and age. In this society day and age, fathers are not training their daughters how to be women, so you have to build her. But some women are so far gone, even if they like 18, 19, 20, they're so far gone. They're such whores, they're so hooked on the Kool-Aid, the poison of this society, this American culture. I think that's the culprit. They're so hooked on this American culture that they're unredeemable, man.
Black Ram, you said a mouthful just then. You said a mouthful. And even if you was to go through all the trouble of working with her and training her, she's only going to be that way for a limited amount of time. When black women get pregnant, it's like a switch goes off in their head, and suddenly the black man she's with can do nothing right. It's like it's an impulse of her to just separate herself from the black man and demonize this motherfucker, even though he's done everything right. And it's like she can't be in a functional, healthy relationship. She can't. Yeah. She can't build a healthy family. Yep. No.
I think that's a perfect place to lead into accountability for black men toward the line.
Okay. All right.
Look, let's keep it 100. We already know what society we're living in right now. We already know what's going on. As if you're a black man and you walking around out there screwing a chick raw dog, either you just naive and you don't know what you're getting into, or you don't realize that, dude, you better wrap it up, not just for the risk of getting her pregnant, but for the risk of catching something that's going to cause you to be paying for medicine for the rest of your life. You know, so I think as black men, we need to actually be responsible for who we're dealing with and be aware of the environment that we're in right now. You know?
Well, to that, now, earlier, when I talked about the black woman and how she relates to the black man, I sort of depoliticized the discussion in that I went broader than this super racialized context we live in now. And so I didn't use white supremacy, Caucasian hegemony, much as an explanatory factor, okay, for her behavior, because I was going into what I think may be something that is ancient and far deeper than this context. But now I'm going to limit it to this racialized context. And let's suppose that now her behavior is a reflection, as I've said before, of black male powerlessness. This is the traditional perspective, I think, that her waywardness is a reflection of black male powerlessness. That was actually the title of one of my first videos like 4 years ago. And that the key to getting her in line is dismantling white hegemony and naturally its influence on her. So there's this idea of towing the line that I want to sort of briefly talk about. And so what we have is this issue, I think, in the black manosphere, where we have two extremes, in effect. On one hand, we have black men who appear to be all about facing their adversary, the white male, head on. And but these men, on the other hand, do not generally hold black women accountable for anything. And in its extreme case, they refer to the black woman as God. Okay, that's at worst. At best, you know, she's the queen. You know, so in its most extreme sense, they say she's God. But other than that, they'll call her queen. We're talking about people like Dr. Umar. We're talking about Irritated Genie. We're talking about SETI. These are men who will directly confront, for lack of a better term, because it's only been verbally, but they will talk about the issue of, you know, mano y mano, the black man facing the white man in the system and dismantling it. So that's on one side. You have this group of men who will talk about white males but completely let black women off the hook. On the other side, we have we have a ton of black men on YouTube who will make tons and tons of videos about the waywardness of black women. But when it comes to the white male who is the puppet master, it's just fucking crickets.
Yes,
okay? Yes. And so we have these two extremes. So towing the line is being able to stand in the middle and put the sword to the black woman in terms of criticism and put the flame to the black man in terms of criticism. Now, as far as examples of men who have this balance, who can toe the line, I don't think we have any solid examples. Some would say Professor Black Truth, Jason Black. I've listened to their videos. These are men who do address the white male, so to speak, directly in terms of turning the situation around, at the same time appear to criticize black women. But I am not entirely convinced. Okay? I know that I've been in the comment section reading, you know, what people are saying and listening to Jason Black's videos, Professor Black Truth's videos. And I know one thing I do know is that black men who don't exclusively date black women get shamed. And this sort of was a red flag for me because it was indicative of the priority of the female prevailing. Okay? Because it is my opinion that shaming a man for who he fucks is a feminine thing. I don't give a fuck how you cut it. As a man, it's none of your business who another man is fucking. And no man, I don't think, when the male essence is prevalent, you know, we don't shame other men in that way. I think that that's feminine behavior. So I'm not so sure about the genuineness, the depth of these guys in terms of their commitment to correcting black women. I almost feel like they want to impress them and they want the approval of black women. You have Tariq Nasheed, but he's sort of a wild card. He's a jive-ass dude. You know, he'll say one thing today, something else tomorrow. He does talk about white supremacy. He does appear to address it directly, but he just doesn't seem to be a man of principle or conviction. So
Tariq always gives holes a pass.
Yeah.
Always.
Exactly.
He's perfect at that.
That's the new.
What I want to be clear.
That's the new Tariq.
What I want to be clear about before I give you hand over the floor to you guys, we got to be clear. We talk about accountability because that's how we came into this, right, 40? We got to understand that the men are the problem solvers, however you cut it, okay? Even if, whether it be what I said earlier in terms of the theory that I elaborated, whether it be this traditional view that I'm talking about here, that this is very, very much a context-specific issue, whatever, the bottom line is that men are the problem solvers, and it'll be men facing other men in order to get where we want to go. And the advances towards sovereignty will be made through us outwitting and outmaneuvering other men, not the women. You know, I heard one guy shamefully say, a black man, he said that he believes that one day there's going to be a civil war between the black man and black men and women. And I said, I'm thinking in my mind, how the hell can you talk about men and women in the context of having a physical war with one another? What man would even think about physically warring with a group of females? So, the path, of course, exactly. The path to sovereignty, bottom line, gentlemen, is going to be paved with the blood and genius of black men and not the good intentions of black women. Mm. So when you know, that's the bottom line with that. The last thing I want to say real quick before I hand it over, Carrington, I heard a video recently. Crystal and Carrington was talking to somebody something blue. I don't remember that other chick's name. You guys can let me know in the comment section. But I think it was Carrington who said something to the effect of, black men talk about white man is stopping me from doing this. White man controls this, controls that. And she said, essentially, well, why don't I go be with him? Because he's the fucking man. And what I was seeing in the comment section of the video I listened to, I don't remember which one it was, who had that soundbite, but I was seeing all these emotional reactions from black men. That, man, these black bitches are evil. I can't believe she said that. That was that was the gist of their responses. And even though that was really fucked up and evil and cold, it was real. And black men have to understand, and I think I alluded to this in my video, Woman is Savage, a while back, but we gotta understand, women are savages, man. They are creatures that operate off of instinct. So we can explain all day long, and come up with these reasons why things are the way they are. Women only understand power and control. And so another thing we need to understand about that is if winning or obtaining a woman's allegiance is based on what you do or what you have, what does that say about her real value if it's not based on who you are? If it's based on what you do as opposed to who you are. This harkens back to the first time I heard this notion of men being a human doing as opposed to a human being. I heard this in the mid-show community, but it's applicable here, So we have these men, we say, well, man, we gotta get ourselves together so we can get our women back. Think about what you're saying.
Exactly.
It's not about your character. You can be a good man, all that. Fuck you if you don't have money and power. So what that should tell you is when you do get that money and power, you put that bitch in slavery. You haven't had the floor.
Yeah, I addressed that in a video a long time ago. If we build it, this T40, if we build it, they will come. Women are a side issue, man. Women are not really the main event. I think the number one reason why we as black men focus so much on women is because, number one, a lot of us is lacking financial success in life. We're lacking any type of success. So the cheapest form of entertainment is sex. And some brothers are willing to do anything to get that, because they think, well, this is all there is in life. This going to make me feel better about not having a job, not having this, or being considered the lowest one in society. It's real simple. Any group of men that get together and form a bond or a brotherhood and create a culture, women going to want to be a part of that. You're not creating the bond or culture for females. You're creating the bond or culture for protection and power. So you can have control over your own destiny as a group of men. Black men don't understand that. They don't understand brotherhood. And I think that's a result of Caucasian supremacy brainwashing. You know, a group of brothers can't even get together and create anything because everybody always fighting against one another. It's all this not trusting each other. And they don't understand, man. Look at a pack of wolves. A pack of wolves hunt as a pack. They don't hunt as an individual because they know if they want the good meat from this bull over here, from this animal over here, it's going to take a group of them to get that good meat so they can all sit down and be happy. Black men don't understand that concept, how important it is to form a strong brotherhood, to hunt as a pack, as a group. It not only, quote, get you the best in life, but it also gets you the best women, believe it or not. You know, but you're not doing it for the women. You're doing it for the power to have control over your own destiny. And one thing I got to say about the Caucasian man, no group of men understands that better than the Caucasian man. They'll get up in a group and form an organization in a minute and bond together as a group of men and handle their business for reasons of power, gaining power. You know, this white man has basically created armies and fought and spilled blood and died to create a system where he stays on top. He made that dollar bill. He made that $100 bill, those paychecks that you get. He created the system. But how did he create it? He created it through war. Once he won the war, he said, okay, this is what the system going to be. Now everybody dance to the beat of my drum. We as black men don't understand that we need to get together as a group, as brothers, and create our own system. Now, black men out there are already doing it. I want to use an example of these black biker gangs. They have created their own culture, their own system, their own rules, their own ways of doing things. And it started off just a group of men doing it. Before long, here come the women, ready to obey the rules, you know. And I forget what they call them, but in a lot of these biker gangs, they have women. They have a certain name for them. But these women physically service every man in the damn group, whatever he wants sexually. This is what women are willing to do to become a part of what men build. But once again, the women are just a side issue. Men bond together and form an unbreakable brotherhood for power so no other group can come in and stomp your ass in the ground. That's the main reason why you do it. But I'm going to let y'all have the floor.
Ram, is there a scriptural reference to the lack of brotherhood?
Oh, absolutely. I can't reference it at this time, but yeah, definitely. Okay. And we all know the whole old adage, "Am I my brother's keeper?" And the appropriate response is yes, you are your brother's keeper. Yeah. So absolutely. In fact, a scripture I can think in my mind right now. I can't go right to the verse. I don't have my Bible in front of me. But the Bible commands a man to love his brother. In fact, the scripture says, how could you love God who you don't see and hate your brother who you do see? You know, so it's very clear. In fact, the scripture is very emphatic about loving your brother is the paramount commandment other than serving the Most High. It comes second. So you have to love your brother. The scriptures talk about that over and over again. Brotherly love, especially at, I believe, like the epistles of John.
Yeah, well, if you guys remember at the dawn of IBMOR, I think I actually made a video titled with brotherhood, and I was pushing that from the very beginning. And you and I have had plenty of personal conversations where I've mentioned whether a brother is a Hebrew Israelite, whether he says that he is a part of Islam, or whatever, we have to be careful to not let our spiritual perspectives divide us and to judge one another on the content of our character. Now, I like to reference the story in the Bible where Peter swore up, he swore up and down. I'm not going to betray you to Yeshua. And Yeshua was like, yes, you are. Didn't he tell him what time he was going to do it to? Mm-hmm. And this was, one of the disciples. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? So, these were all brothers of the same. They were all in the same fold. You had Judas. You know what I'm saying? So don't think that, just because I'm a Muslim, and he says he's a Muslim, that we can trust each other, but because he's a Hebrew Israelite, or he says he's this and that, I can't trust him. That man over there might die for you. You know, and so that's why I say, you know, brotherhood is everything. But go ahead.
But we also have to recognize that not every man is your brother. And of course, we already know that most black women are not our sisters. So what can we unite behind? What makes another black man your brother? Well, in my mind, it's quite simple. I think it's 3 levels of consciousness a man must have to be considered your brother of any sort. Okay? And the first thing, a man, as a black man, you have to know who you are. You have to be aware of who you are in the time we live in. That is ultimate consciousness. To be aware is to be alive. You have to know who you are and where you are. So who are you, black man? And then secondly, and this is what separates men who have integrity on YouTube in particular versus the coons and so on and so forth. So not only do you have to know who you are, number 2, you have to be aware, fully aware of who your damn enemy is. If you don't know who your enemy is, there's no way that I can unite with you. There's no way I can show solidarity with you, because we're not united behind the same cause because we have the same enemy. If you don't know that fundamental principle, that fundamental issue, you can't identify who your enemy is. You can't help me as a black man. You can't be on my side. You can't sit at my table, and I can't stand next to you because you can't identify who your enemy is.
Can I add to that before you say the third one?
Sure.
This is real important. I had to remind brothers that our fight is against the planet. As a black collective globally, and we know everybody hates us. Okay? And regardless of what our views are spiritually, everybody wants to kill us. Everybody. So even though Vladimir Putin might not like the Europeans in the UK or America or whatever, I would be willing to bet everything I got, including my life, that if black people collectively became a threat, these white folk will get together against that ass.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
And we got to get to the point where we recognize that when you talk about who are you, we are the governors of planet Earth. First and foremost, this planet is ours. And so we have to understand that when these other groups essentially represent a planetary threat, they're like a virus if they try to take us out. And so we have to be able to come together and understand who our enemy is from that vantage point, understanding that we are the custodian of planet Earth. This is a solar system, a sun system. So brown people is the norm. This is our home. But anyway, go ahead to your third.
Absolutely. I agree with what you said 100%. And so number 1 again is knowing who you are. And you just touched on that. And number 2, understanding fully who your enemy is. And number 3, the subjugation of women. Now that word subjugate is a word I love. I'm going to read the definition. So you have to have those 3 factors to be considered a conscious brother. What is subjugation? Comes from a word subjugate. Let me read this definition. Number 1, it means to bring under complete control or subjection, to master, to conquer. Second definition, make submissive or subvert, to enslave. So these are masculine principles. So you have to be aware of who you are, who your enemy is, and you have to believe in the subjugation of women, not your co-equal, not your goddess, not your fucking queen, your servant. I denounce the notion and the idea that a black woman is a fucking queen, or any woman is a goddamn queen. When I look at the scriptures, right? Other nations had queens, but there is no such thing as a fucking Israelite queen. Because a woman is a servant, not a fucking queen. There's no such thing. A woman is to serve you, not to be beside you, not to co-captain with you, not your co-equal, a servant at your feet. Complete subjugation.
Hey,
and I think it's a feminine and a weak and a punk-ass thing to call a woman, well, she's your queen because I'm a king. Fuck that.
Right. Or your co-captain, your co-pilot, or any of that bullshit.
Exactly.
Now I want to say this, and I want to put it out there. IBMOR is the only group of men that will straight up put their ass in the foot of all women. You know, we talk about the black woman because the black woman is the main, how should I put this? The main problem that the Caucasian man has sicked on us. Okay. So she's the one that's closest to our hip, the secret agent of white supremacy next to us. But that doesn't mean we start simping and caping for Caucasian women. And you got a lot of brothers out there that miss that. You got a lot of black MGTOW out there. They will talk real crazy about a black woman, but at the same time, they be all up in their videos talking about how they put such and such on such a pedestal. You got those brothers out there that simp and cape for Caucasian women all day long. And I've said this once and I'll say it again. You can kill every single solitary Caucasian man on the planet and wipe every other race of man out. And the only man left on this planet is the black man. But your kingdom will still fall if you don't recognize that all women have basically the same nature.
Yes, exactly. You're talking about the nature of a woman. I like when you do those videos.
Yeah, you excuse that white woman, before you know it, you're going to be under her motherfucking thumb. You got to recognize all of them, man. All of them, man.
Well, see, you know what? Ram made a good point when I talked to him before, and this goes right with what you're saying. And first, I just want to say, man, you've made that video, I think, more than once.
Oh, yeah.
And every time I hear, I'm like, this is, brothers do need to hear this. Because they tend to, now, when I'm referencing what Rand had said, a lot of brothers make these videos, and they deal with the surface in terms of particular behaviors that women show and things that they do that we don't like. So if you look at my video, Woman is Savage, it's not up anymore, but you look at my video, you look at Goon 40 Ramp, we all talk about the nature of women. And that's really important to understand because that transcends, quote unquote, race.
Yeah.
So whichever woman you with, man, the rules still apply. You still got to be a man.
Yeah, with these black MGTOW, it's almost like they scared to talk about the evil of a Caucasian woman. It's like they scared. That's how you know who a man is simping for. Okay, that's how you know who he's simping for. Well,
let's just keep it real, man. The vast majority, most of the guys who listen to these videos or online, they're not really concerned with the more the deeper stuff when you start talking about the nature of a woman and all that. Either they're not concerned or they cannot digest that.
Right.
That's just the bottom line. It's only going to be a handful of guys that's really going to be able to internalize that.
A lot of them still have that Caucasoid female snake wrapped around their neck, slowly strangling them, and they don't even know it. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it alone.
Yeah.
Adigon, you want to chime in? Let us know what you think.
Shit, I think we might.
Oh, no, I'm good on that, man.
Yeah.
I was just thinking it all in, man, because you guys were saying everything I needed to say.
Yeah. Most definitely, man. Most definitely. We need to be aware of the nature of all women, man. We got to be aware of the nature of all women. But we first got to watch that black woman most closely because, she's that agent of white supremacy put right up in our bed right next to us. So,
Well, I mean, just when we're talking about relationships with women, in conclusion, the man, that's the thing that's lonely and fucked up, about manhood. We have the element, we have the world, we have other men that we have to face. But the woman is the enemy that's behind the gates at all times. You know what I'm saying? She is not what we tend to look at her as, oh, she's my mate. She's on my team. She has my back. And those are that's projecting a male perspective. and male values onto a woman. We have to always remember Brifold's law. And we have to remember her commitment to comfort and resources. And this is why she needs to be essentially enslaved. The paradigm, we need a new paradigm for relating to these women, not as our mates, but as Ram said, as our servant.
Mm.
She is here to serve you, not to possess you. She is not your equal.
Well, that's why I put women, no matter what color they are, on the same level as animals. The only thing that really separates her from the animals is necessity. I need her to reproduce and make more black men.
Right.
And I'm attracted to her. So sexually, I'm not going to have sex with an animal, but those are the only two distinctions, really.
Yeah.
Right.
She's ruled by her animal impulses otherwise.
Yeah.
You know.
Outside of reproduction, she's a liability.
Yeah. Wow. People are too sensitive. A lot of our men are too sensitive, and they really still believe that black women are worth defending, and they're not.
Mm.
They're not. These aren't just sisters or none of that. They're just animals that you have to tame.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Well, look here, brothers. It was real good talking to all y'all, man. We're going to let our brother Crucible take us on out. Go ahead, Crucible.
All of you out there listening, please leave your comments, your perspective on what we're talking about here. If you disagree, whatever it is you have to say, leave it in the comment section. Also, ideas for what you would like us to possibly talk about in future group chats.
Yes, indeed. And we out of here. Peace.